love to know new things and basically just open my mind into things that I thought I knew and basically now learning. So, yeah, Alfred, I think the video was perfect. But yeah, let me get the perspective on you guys. What do you guys think right here, too?
Yeah, I go back to my college years and my high school years, and to be honest, I can't really tell you much about the Constitution. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe they just didn't teach it to us. But I'm sure there was something that they taught us. But now is probably the most important time to start.
Right.
If you haven't even read the Constitution, to start with at least just reading it, right? And understanding what the role of government is. I'll let Isaac get into that because he started to explain it to us, and I was like, you know what, let's wait till we start recording.
Right, he was on fire,
Yeah,
man.
because it's important to hear what the actual role of government is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, bro, I don't remember if we learned the Constitution when we were in high school because that was a long time ago, bro. That was in the 90s. So if they did, I don't remember that far back. I'm 46.
It, but not teaching it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was in the 90s, man, where we still had the best music till this day.
That's right. Tell me about it, man.
Even kids these days listen to 90s music.
I wish I was in the 90s, man.
It's in the fact.
I heard you guys
I'm
had
sure
fun.
you did. We did. But yeah, man. So, definitely one of the things that we were talking about was, kind of what's going on with the Latino community and, why do our people keep voting Democrat? Why do Latinos flee countries that have policies that cause so much harm and destruction, took away opportunity, took away wealth from them, took away their freedoms, so much so that they sacrifice some people their lives, they leave their families, they leave whatever they had behind to come here to the United States. And then we get here and our family does. In my case, I'm first generation born here. My parents came from Mexico. My dad and my mother came here. My dad came here on a work visa. He brought my mom over, and they overstayed their visa. But I'm not a hypocrite. Even though I don't support illegal immigration, that was my parents' decision. That's not mine. I'm not going to say it's okay. Just like if we had a family member that was a thief. Right. They're your family, but that's what they did. But I'm not going to say it doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Right.
So definitely we see the consequences of that. But to get to the point is, I think what happens is, at least in my case, I'll speak for myself. It's not like my parents brought me up kind of thinking about, hey, son, what do you think the role of government is? This is what freedom is. This is what the Constitution is. My parents, my dad, till this day, refuses to speak English, so he never wanted to assimilate. My mom speaks English. She loved America. My dad left back to Mexico, but my mom didn't want us to leave, so she stayed here with us. Thank you, Mom.
Okay, shout out to mom, bro.
Mom.
Right? Nice,
but yeah, unfortunately, they come from Mexico. They don't know the Constitution.
Right.
My mom actually did end up becoming an American citizen, so she was had to go through the classes. So she probably knows it now, because they have to. So. Interestingly enough, it should all be mandatory. I think Vivek was, you guys know Vivek, right?
Yeah,
Ramaswamy. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he was actually, I'm not a fan of forcing, but I don't have an issue with making it a requirement for people to, students or
Advising,
at some point learning the Constitution in order to vote. So I don't know. I'm on the fence on that because I am about freedom.
Right.
But sometimes you kind of make you think, But yeah, I think the issue, it comes down to not just Latinos, but I think most people, what is the role of government? So what is that role of government? So in my opinion, the role of government is to protect our freedom.
100%. Yep.
So when you think about what that really means, if it's to protect our freedom, period, end of story, and you think about what the role of government currently is now, I think we've gotten so far away from what that role is. So I think people need to ask themselves, what is the role of government? And what do you want the role of government to be? But here in the United States, the intention was only to protect your freedom.
Well, you're cooking right now, so let me ask you, right? If I was out there in the street, what? Right? You're on fire right now. If I was a citizen out there and I asked you, what do you think is the role of government? Explain it to me. Go ahead, explain it. What would you say?
Well, like I said, it's to protect your freedom. So so really that goes to a conversation. What is not the role of government? Well, the role of government is not to mandate shots, for example. We've been through that, right? The role of government isn't to get me a job. The role of government isn't to force me to be charitable, right? So what does that mean? Like, what do you mean force me to be charitable? All right. Well, we're all forced to be charitable because those of us that have a job and work,
Right.
We are by law forced by the point of a gun, right? Because if we don't pay it, we're going to jail. You get taxed, right? And that taxes go to what? Subsidizing industries.
Yeah.
It goes
Isn't
to
that the reason that we left and came here and created
Right.
our own? Yeah, it's because we were being taxed.
yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's like he said, right? Your parents came here, my parents came here. It's like we left the bad stuff that government was doing to us, and now we're falling, like you said, in the same direction. We're like, wait, that's what our parents talked about. Oh, the taxes over there, and how the government is so corrupt. And it's like, okay, well, now if you look, like you said, look at our government now. It's like, oh, okay, so isn't this the stuff that our parents were saying they were fleeing? And it kind of scares you because you're like, well, this is the last place. If you think about it, I don't know where else we can go, but I don't know. It just seems to me that it just looks scary and sad at the same time. It's like, man, we're going to sadly live what our parents lived through in America.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think our parents that are here, it's not like they really understand what they fled from. They just came here to the United States and said, oh, man, it's awesome over here. I can get a job.
Yeah,
I can get
the dream of
Right.
a vision that they created in their
Right,
head.
there's opportunity here. So that, you know, but I don't think the issue is I think most Latinos that came here, whether they came here illegally or not, I don't think they really understand the laws and policies that allow the foundation that this country was founded on, that allow for that prosperity to happen, that created the environment for them to be able to be prosperous, have freedom, and be able to get jobs that they couldn't in Mexico. You know, I remember one of my uncles, when I go visit in Mexico, you know, this was back in the Obama years. He's like, oh, you know, Obama's great and all this stuff. And he's like, man, I'm telling them, you know, all these policies during the Obama year that was making it more difficult, high taxes, more regulations for people to have opportunity. You know, I was telling him, you know, hey, you know, that's going away, you know. And my uncles in Mexico, they're very industrious people. But one of the things he told me, he's like, man, you know, here you can't make it. It's hard. The government makes it very difficult. Right. And I don't know Mexico laws or policies, but it makes me think like, yeah, they're so, you know. I know one thing. I remember as a kid, I know I'm going to hijack this.
Go ahead.
Go for it. Hey, no. Go ahead.
But as a kid, I remember we'd get sent to Mexico for the summers to work. You know, to go help my uncles in the farms, and you'd go out and you'd see all these guys farming land, you know, growing crops, you know, alfalfa, corn, whatever. And as I got older, I think I stopped going when I was like 13, and I didn't go back till I was like 18 years old. All of a sudden, you go there, and it's like, man, you don't see anybody working the land anymore. It's all old people. Like, man, there's all just a bunch of old people. When I was a kid, it was me, my cousins, and you know, you'd go out and you'd see a bunch of kids. You know, that was just the way it was. And come find out, you know, there was some policy, I guess, some subsidy that passed. It kind of made it some taxes, some sort of regulation that basically made it unprofitable, right?
Right.
The other thing I noticed was all the young people, they're not there anymore. They're in the U.S.
Right.
Right.
Sadly.
So when you think about it, it's like, hey man, when you talk about immigration law and Mexicans, and I guess I'm just gonna talk about, because that's where I'm from, but you know, Latino, that includes, you know, all Latin America.
Yeah, for sure.
But when the U.S. makes it easy for people to come into their country, you're taking the best. You know, I know Trump talks about the worst, the you know, that there's and it's true, there is drug dealers and murderers and rapists coming.
Careful.
But also
and traffickers
and traffickers and all kinds of crazy
and
nonsense.
Terrorists, by the way, and
but
you know,
but really, it's even bad if Mexico, and if you love Mexico, right, and you know all those people that are all about Mexico and that, you know, anti-Mexican type stuff, but really allowing even their good people to come here is anti-Mexico, because now we're taking their youth, we're taking their best, and they're coming here, and then Mexico's losing all of that. Right. So now you have these old guys out there working the land, and their young men and their next generation, they're over here working in the U.S. Right. So when you think about it, shouldn't we support strong borders?
Right. Like,
if you love Mexico, bro, you should support good border and immigration policy.
Yeah, it's basically like you're saying, maybe that the future generation that is being born over there could be like the next Mexico president, could be like the next actual good congressperson that could do something for the Mexican people, an engineer, a Mexican engineer that could build stuff over there and all that.
Right.
But now they're coming over here, and it's like, oh, okay, come and build it for the U.S. And then sadly, look at our government, it's corrupt. So the government is like, there we go. They're only for us. Rules for thee, not for me. But I think that's pretty powerful, like you said, bro. I think that seeing this whole immigration stuff, right, illegal immigration coming into the country, it's very creepy. Like how brother was saying right here was, you don't know who's coming in, bro. You see, back then everybody knew. Oh, okay. I don't know. This is just me. It looked like it was like families, you know, when you see these videos now coming. But dude, it's all men, bro. Military aged men. And it creeps me out because it's like, why, what, and you don't understand
what's really
it.
happening. What's really going on, right?
Right. Like, what? These are all dudes. But it's rare when you see some videos where you see like a kid or a mom. But it's like, bro, these are all men, bro. All of them.
Yeah. So, when you think about,
it's crazy.
I think about this when Trump was president, and, they're calling him a racist and all this stuff. It's so ridiculous. But, when he's talking about bad people coming here, I would think Latino people would have better discernment.
Right.
Right. We all know that when we were kids, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm older, but back in the day, I will tell you guys right now, my dad would help people come cross illegally. Okay.
Hey. Yeah.
He that's what my dad did for a little while.
Right.
And back in those times, you could do it. I mean, hell, we brought one of my cousins here.
Dude, same thing.
My sisters took my birth certificate. They went over to TJ on a Friday night, because all the college kids would go down there. They took my clothes. You're looking right, because you probably did the same thing. They took my clothes, dressed up my cousin, made them all look American, right? And he just walked right in, right? So it's not like you have that going on right now. It's not like your tío and your tía, back in the day. Now for you to come across the border, these guys are paying like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to get across. So think about that. Who's really coming across? Right? Like, let's use some common sense, bro. Do you think your tío freaking Jose has 10 grand, $15,000 to pay a coyote to come across the border?
That's right. Yeah. That's a good point.
Crazy,
so it's just logic, man. It's
somebody's paying the bill.
Somebody's paying the bill, or
now they don't even need that. Now everybody's just walking over. You don't
right, bro.
You don't need
that's true
anymore. You just kind of
that's
walk
facts.
right
It's
through.
free now.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Like, it was probably harder, like you said. You had to take your clothes and you be like, "Hey, where's my jacket that I wore last week? That didn't look good. Now it's gone. Where's my birth certificate? I gotta go do this." But that is just, I don't know, bro. It's like Alfred was saying earlier, not here, but when we were talking and off the studio, he said, amazing how he said, and it is true, something is going on, bro. We don't know what it is, but in my opinion, this ain't even, like you said, it ain't even about getting family members over here anymore. This is creepy when you have all mostly men coming through, bro. And this is just me. Maybe I sound like a conspiracy theorist, and people are like, oh, why are you thinking that? But look at the military recruitment numbers right now. Well, they're very low.
And actually, something that I want to good point, because the reality of this, man, is I was actually talking to somebody, right, and they're getting ready to join the sheriffs, and somebody mentioned to me that this is besides someone else I heard who's joining the force. They said they're pretty soon are going to start approving people to come and assist that are DACA recipients. So now we're going to have the sheriff department recruiting to DACA recipients. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is what I see it here, and again, no conspiracy, but I'm just thinking now we're going to have somebody that broke the law, enforcing the law.
Basically, bro, that's you gotta be honest, right? And this is where they get mad, Alfred. I'm saying, bro, this is like getting a criminal who is currently a criminal, right? Because I guess illegal immigrant people don't like using that word. Yeah, you broke a law, but you're telling someone else, hey, don't steal. But you have a crime for stealing. Like, you have it in your record. So I don't know. And it's not, and it's crazy because you even have, like you were saying earlier, you guys, you got Latinos who are liberals. They're so mad about how dare you say that when our people need help. I'm like, bro, it's not even the whole point. It's just that if we're not going to be enforcing laws, then what's the point of having a law and order type of country?
Yeah, and that's going to get me to circle back because I really want to clarify what our Constitution is here for, right?
Yeah.
But freedom is such a general term, right? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, it's in the Constitution. It's our freedoms to, for example, first of all, to live,
right,
and exist, to the freedom to be born,
right,
and be alive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We have our freedom of speech, which is in our Bill of Rights, our right to bear arms.
Okay,
right,
good, yeah,
right,
exactly.
Those are our freedoms. I'm glad you brought it back. So when I talk about protecting our freedoms, obviously not the freedom to just go out and start beating up people and shooting
right,
people.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? So
right,
so the government's role is to protect our freedoms, but there's also a role to keep us safe.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's so how, and that's where it starts to get, that's where the gray area starts to form, is when you start
right,
to say it's about, well, keeping us safe as opposed to our freedom, because sometimes keeping us safe takes away from our freedoms.
Right.
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 Or they try to play it that way. But to understand basically what our freedom is, it's just it's really a broad statement of allowing us to do what we want, right? As long as it's in a position where we're not hurting anybody,
right,
or we're not taking from anybody. But understanding that government, every single time they write a law, right, it's impeding our freedom.
Right.
Okay.
Facts.
Every time there's a law written, there's freedom being taken away.
Right.
As simple as in the 80s when they put the seatbelt law, right? It's always to protect us, right? But that's taking our freedom away.
Right.
Right. Even and this might stir a little controversy. Even just telling you that you can't drink and drive, that's taking your freedoms away.
I'll take it a further extent. You know what I heard recently, and my friend, he's a constitutionalist. This guy's on TikTok. Shout out to Lumberjack, American Lumberjack, by the way. He's a black constitutionalist. This guy has a good argument to saying even driver licenses. Why do you have to have a license to drive?
You don't.
Exactly. And that's where I kind of was arguing a little bit. He was my friend, but I couldn't give a right answer. I was like, well, government said that we have to, and then he's like, well, you believe in the Constitution too. Where in the Constitution does it say government's supposed to give you is supposed to tell you to have a license?
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So every law that's written, it takes away from that freedom. So the more power we continue to give government and allow them to continue to write laws and more laws and regulate this, regulate that, because we're all going to die from global warming and all this stuff that's going on. The more power we give them, the more it takes away from our freedoms. Right?
It's like that phrase that I don't know if you heard it, but when someone says the government would never do that,
yeah,
it's like, oh yes, they would, But that's crazy, bro. Just that is true what you're saying, because every time they write a law, it's like, bro, this looks more like they're saying, oh, for your safety, but in a way it's like, well, I don't know about that. It seems like you're giving me less and less freedom if you think about it.
Yeah, I think. I'm glad you brought it up, Alex, because that's a fact, and not just when they write a law, but because we're talking about what's the intention here on these conversations, and it's kind of just to bring up things. I guess if people are listening to these conversations, it's just kind of to, I guess maybe put something in your mind to consider. So when you think about, like Alex said, the seatbelt law, right? Haven't really thought about the drinking one. I'll ponder that before I take a position. But the seatbelt law for me,
I'm not taking a position either way. I'm just letting you know that even something as simple as that is taking away your freedom.
Well, people have died with the seatbelt.
And people argued for that law, against that law too.
Yeah.
right? So I mean,
So,
everything.
I
there's
mean, you
always
could.
somebody
That
for or
does make
against.
sense too, because you could still die with your seatbelt on, right?
Yeah, you
Of
can,
course.
especially when,
Right.
when they roll over. I think there's people that actually the ones that live didn't have their seatbelt on. But you know, I'm not
It's
promoting
crazy.
people to not. Yeah, but no,
That's
but when you
crazy,
think
bro.
about a seatbelt law, it's like that's a perfect example, right? Of
Yeah.
what is the role of government. It's not to protect me from myself, right? So it's like, really, guys, is it worth giving up your freedom to not put on your seatbelt? I mean, that's our decision to make, right?
Right.
I mean, really, how are you harming someone else by not having your seatbelt on?
Yeah.
You're not.
Now that I think about it, that is true, bro. It's
Right.
more.
That's a no-brainer in my opinion, right? So, I mean, if you think about how many laws and policies are out there, when you're voting for propositions, you know, so like Alex said, every time they're writing a law, but also every time you're voting on a proposition, I think it's ideal to kind of look at it and say, am I willing to give up that freedom in order to get this result? Is it worth it? And not just that, do you want to give that power to government?
Exactly.
I think the problem is that we trust government too much, and I think especially in the Latino community, you know, we're very and I could be wrong. That's just my opinion, but you know, just me observing. But we're very passive. You know I am. You know, I'm very trusting with people,
Right.
except for government now. But generally speaking, I trust people. I see the good. You know, I like to think people
as
are
you should,
well intended.
Right.
As you should. I mean,
Yeah.
you should always be looking for the positive in everybody that you come in
Yeah.
contact with, and let them prove you wrong, right? But if you go in there with a hard heart, then it's going to be you're going to be fighting
Right.
with yourself pretty much every
Yeah.
single time you meet somebody new.
But
right?
but understand that every time you're voting on something, you're empowering the government. And the funny
Exactly.
thing is that people trust the government, but they hate politicians. Well, who do you think the government is?
All right.
You know, I mean, everybody, it's an understanding that politicians are, you know, corrupt. And, you know, you talk to anybody, oh, you know, ese político, you know, puros corruptos,
Those,
right? And
yeah.
same thing, right? But yet, bro, like that's who you're actually giving the power
To.
whenever you vote on something. You're giving that corrupt politician. So somehow there's a disconnect. Like if government is this, like, you know, entity here, and then politicians are separate from that. No, they are the government.
That's them. Yeah.
That's them. So
Well, I think, right, I think that's where, like, we're going back, right, when we watched the video. If people would know that that's written in the Constitution, but a lot of people don't know it. Why? They think, oh, they're separate. It's like, no, these people, you voted them into your government, and now they are your government. And now look what they're doing. Taking less freedom, taking your money. A lot of this stuff that they're doing where it's like, bro, and then people, like you said, question, the government. Well, it's like, well, bro, you voted this man to be in government, so I don't know why you're getting mad now, you know?
I just don't think they know any better. I think this is where we're at today, is that our community, the Latino community and the Black community, minorities, they only see what is told to them, right? They don't.
Yeah.
Most don't do the research and go out and listen to different perspectives to understand. They're getting told their truths instead of finding their truths. Unfortunately, the media has been pushing a narrative, and it will continue to push a narrative. And all through this election cycle, they're going to push their narrative. And if there isn't groups like us having conversations, just having
Right.
normal dialogue, I'm not trying to push anybody in any direction. I have no need to. All I want to do is explain that there's always two sides to a story, right?
Right.
Disassociate from the emotion that's tied to whatever you associate yourself with as a Republican or as a Democrat or as whatever, you know. Disassociate that for a second, because if you identify as something, you're going to vote that regardless, right? I would implore the Latino community to just take a second, step away from it for a second, and just look at truth. Look at the facts. Look at facts. Look at logic.
Right.
You know, see both sides. Don't just take what Univision is telling you and then go do it, right? Because it's
Telemundo.
Yeah, Telemundo, Univision, and just all our news stations. It's just a bunch of. I'm not
CNN,
even, yeah. I don't know if we can even cuss in this, but I'm not.
You're trying. You're so moderated that you're like,
Yeah, but it's take a second and just start to really pay attention to what's happening, right?
Well, you can relate to this, right, Alex? I think that, like, if you notice, right, we saw this video. Many things that government public schools have said, oh, that's too complicated. You have to go to college to learn the Constitution. Oh, well, only lawyers and courts can interpret the Constitution. But with this video, even these guys explained it in the simplest way ever. And it's crazy because if you think about it, government is smart in a way to hide that from you. And these are two guys, right, from this video that we watched, two guys that are constitutional lawyers. And the way they explained it, the first thing in the video, if you start out, they didn't say you and me had to go to college to understand this. They didn't tell me we had to go to some constitutional law school and take the bar. They were just explaining it how the founding fathers were, you know? So I think that's what you're saying, is that I think our people need to not necessarily think that they don't have the capabilities of thinking logic, using reality and all. It's just try it out. Use your own brain, not someone else's interpretation of things, you know, what they say.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to do that, right? It's easier just to listen to somebody's perspective and to just take it as your own, or just listen to whatever you consider an authority figure and listen to what they're saying, right? Whether it be the news or whether it be your teachers or whether it be whoever, right?
Yeah.
But it is a little bit more difficult to start to do your own research. It does take time, right? But the reason that we are here today and the way society is today and our government, as much power and control that they have now over us, is because we're not taking the time to see what these laws that are coming out. We're in an election cycle. California is right now the poster child for what you don't want to do. Okay? So,
Imagine, bro.
So we're about to vote.
I mean, Alex, sorry to interrupt, bro, but what you just said, bro, it made me feel like the poster child, bro, of the United States. Like everybody looks for California to do exactly. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like the older brother, right? That says, "Hey," and your mom tells you, "You better not do what you're." That's us.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Right,
Thank you, Alex.
Right. No,
but it's crazy because it's true. It's like
true.
like how he said it too, bro. It's like
It's true.
It's
It's
like
awesome.
like imagine
Thank
other
you, brother.
states or other people are like, see California, that's not what you want to do. It's like, dang, bro. Like we're the bad ones.
It's the truth, though. So, and we're about to vote.
man,
We're
it's
about to vote. You're gonna get a book.
That's right.
You know, Latinos are gonna get a book, and it's gonna show different policies and different this, and it's gonna give you that little explanation, and they're gonna try to sell you on one thing, but you have to take the time and do some research, and we're gonna have a platform to maybe even talk about some of these policies, and I think we should do that.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, I definitely think we should have the books in front of us and at least take some time to just take one of the policies and be like, okay, this is what they're saying, but what does this
Well,
really mean?
You know what's real easy though? If you're in doubt, bro, if it costs something, vote no.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Easy.
right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So if you didn't have time and you're looking through the proposition and it's like it's gonna add this or it's gonna cost that,
Abort.
vote no.
Yeah.
You don't need
trying
it.
to fix
We
roads.
can't afford it.
They're trying to fix roads. They're trying to fix roads, but they're gonna be like, at the end of the thing, is be like, but it's gonna cost about 500 billion. Or so, like, bro, that's your job. Look at our roads and all that. You know.
Don't ask me for any more money when you're out there giving other countries all kinds of money. And
Our money's
billions
going to
and billions.
Ukraine, so we don't you don't need money
ask
from
me
us.
for another tax dollar.
Now
please.
supposedly it's going to another war that's happening in the Middle East. It's like, dude, come
Yeah.
on,
Well,
bro.
I mean, if we haven't learned our lesson, is remember we were just talking about this earlier. I don't remember the proposition, but the gas tax increase.
Yeah.
So remember the commercials with the emergency vehicles. Like if you don't vote for this, if we don't spend this money, right, in this gas tax, then you're not going to get that ambulance ain't going to get to you on time, right? We got to fix all these potholes.
Oh, man.
Well, have you guys? I mean, we're in California right now, so have you guys seen how many potholes? When I was driving over here, I mean, I was looking at the road and I'm like, damn, my kids come home every day complaining about potholes. So where's the new bridges?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's the thing is that people forget you vote and then you forget that you were promised all these things and you're just. I'll tell you what, I don't forget. I never forget that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
Bro, I'm still waiting for the train, bro.
yeah. Yeah, how about the train?
I mean, the train.
Where
that
is
gonna
that train supposed to go from? LAX to where? I think.
It's supposed to get us from LA to Las Vegas in 2 hours.
Oh, that train. I thought you were talking about the one going to Nancy Pelosi's.
Oh, well, that one too, right?
House.
That one, I think it wasn't approved. It wasn't approved for the funding there.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro. A train. I mean, I don't know, bro. It's just like I said. I think like I just don't understand, right? And then this is the other thing. If you see that these are the people you voted for and they have not kept in your promise, at least vote for someone who at least maybe have a record to keeping the promise, rather than voting for the same person and say, well, because I don't want that person in here, so I'm just gonna keep voting. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You know, at least give a good vote to somebody or try something new.
Yeah, unfortunately, what ends up happening is that people don't come to a realization until it actually hits home, right?
Right.
With the soft on crime policies and everything that's happening in California and New York, and I mean, unless something tragically happens to a family member and it affects them at home, they won't see what's going on, right? Same thing with our tax dollars and money. I'm sure people are seeing our economy right now the way it is,
Right.
Yep.
how much things are costing us today, right? So it's starting to hit home for some people, which is why people's eyes are starting to open, and hopefully they're realizing that it's time to make a change and put a different party in control again, right?
Yeah, and you know, like Alex was talking about earlier, is like California is the example of what not to do. I mean, if you live here in California, you know, a lot of Latinos here. I think, are we a majority? We're a majority here in California, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, who here? If you're Latino and you everything you're complaining about, your taxes, the cost of everything, your roads, anything that you've complained about, that is directly blamed on you voting for a Democrat, if that's who you're voting for, because
That's right.
there's no excuse. You can't blame no racist Republican for your sufferings that you're going through right now, because
That's facts.
this is all 100% Democrat policy, and it's not working out too great. And you know, that's not to say that, hey, you know what, just go out and vote for any Republican or what have you. Look, I would have no problem with voting for a Democrat that was you know, pro-life and pro-Second Amendment, and that was out telling me that they're going to cut this law and cut that regulation. If you have a D next to, I don't care. But if you're out there, you know, if you're going to, you know, cut government,
Like a JFK.
yeah, like a JFK, and get rid of these homeless people, do what you got to do. I'll vote for a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. It's not about the party. It's what's the
exactly.
policy.
And
Well,
that's
look at
what I
RFK.
want people to understand too. It's
Yeah.
not about the policy.
about
It's
the
not about the
party.
party. It's about the policy,
Person, right.
and it's about what they stand for, right? Unfortunately, we don't get truth told to us on what people really stand for. You have to do your own research. You have to do some background work on some of these people, because they're going to tell you what you want to hear all day, every day. And until you make a decision to do your own research, start talking to the right people, start listening to podcasts like this, you're not gonna know what's going on.
Like, question things, bro.
Question things.
Yeah, it's not
100%.
bad thing. Like us,
It's
right?
not
Like
bad.
it's like,
not bad.
imagine, right? I have this empty can, right? And let's just pretend if I had something and I didn't want to drink it, but I'm like, hey, bro, here, try it. Hey, bro, here, try it. And you're like, why does he want me to keep trying this? I said no already like 3 times, and then I keep doing it. Question it. Why do you want me to keep? Same thing. Why do you want me to vote for you? No, just vote for me. Just vote. No explanation. Why? You can't give me a why? Okay, then no.
Yeah, and it becomes a major problem when they start to come at you in a way for starting to question.
For reals, bro. Like,
That should be
Hey, you
an
like
eye
the crazy
opener
one.
in itself. That, you know, if you can't question what you're telling me, then what's truth here?
Yeah,
Right.
I think we need to have a healthy distrust of government in general, and politicians and people that are running for government. You need to have a healthy distrust, you know, of everything that they say. You know, I'm like that with I mean, hell, I still, you know, I'll vote for Trump. I still don't trust him 100%.
Yeah.
You know, I like Vivek a lot, but you know, I don't trust him. In the back of my mind, I'm starting to wonder, like, okay, what's the plot here with this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if it's too good to be true, you know, and you know, honestly, most of the time, you end up finding something, right? You know, you look at Trump, it's like, yeah, I'm not, you know, for the people that are hardcore Trump. Sorry, I'm about to trigger you people, but you know, I'm not against Trump. I'm gonna vote for Trump, but you know, he's not perfect. I mean,
Nobody is.
If 100%, if he even gets into office, I actually don't believe that. You know, if you think that he's gonna go out there and drain the swamp, I don't see any evidence of that. Every time the guy's had a chance to back a rhino or a true conservative, he's backed the rhino 100% of the time. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that's about, but
it's
You know what's crazy though, Alfred? You do have a point, bro. Because think about it. I'm not saying he did some good things, but if you think about it, right? If I'm here, right? Let's just say right here, we're working together as a system or something like that, and I know you're corrupt. You don't have my back. Alfred doesn't care about me. Why would I still work with you? Why don't I just do what I have to do as the Constitution gives that authority and say, I got to start putting some people behind prison that are corrupt.
Yes.
Like you said,
Right.
what is it that, and like you said, you were supposed to drain the swamp. That's you. So what is it now? And then some people say, well, maybe if some people say maybe now he's going to do it because now he's seen everything. I think it's harder for him now to drain the swamp because people will look at him as a dictator.
Here's my opinion on that.
just me.
It's
Go ahead.
His first 4 years, it's, and this is any president. Their first 4 years is trying to keep their spot, right, to get reelected again
for a
right?
second term.
For a second term.
But
The only thing that we may have going for us with Trump's second term is the fact that he doesn't give a shit about election anymore after that. That's when you can start really drain. If you really want to drain the swamp, you can do it then because it doesn't matter anymore. You got 4 years to pretty much do what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Because you
all
don't
right.
need to get reelected again.
it's just like, I'm like with him. He gave me an idea because
I'm about to play it out for you. So I would agree if there wasn't a record after he's out of office right now of him still backing rhinos. Let's say Dr. Oz, right? He backed Dr. Oz, and he had I don't remember her name. The woman, she was an African American woman. She was a hardcore mega. She was awesome. Nope, he didn't endorse her. He endorsed Dr. Oz, and then how'd that work out, right?
Why do you think that is, though? See, I didn't.
I don't know, bro. I don't know the answer. It's so weird.
Me too. That's what it's like. Bro, like this is what I'm saying. It's like I've been questioning that too because I do like what he says and some of this, but it's just like, bro, it just doesn't show that when you get in there, you're gonna go after the people you're saying. That's
Right.
and I get it.
Want a more recent example?
Do you?
I'll give you a more recent example. So, what the speaker of the House, the guy that just
Michael
got
Johnson.
Mike.
no,
Mike Johnson. McCarthy.
McCarthy, right?
Yep.
So he endorsed McCarthy, right? And then we go get rid of McCarthy, and during that time when they're trying to, when he could have actually endorsed Jim Jordan, to get him over the hump, he didn't do that, bro.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So now we're stuck with Mike, supposedly Mega Mike, and the guy's like flopping like crazy, right? So
It's like a nerd,
bro.
bro.
And this is a more recent example. So that tells me he hasn't. I don't know. Has he? Either way, it's a problem, bro. Either he hasn't learned his lesson, or maybe there's something more nefarious going on.
Or
ignorance,
does he not have the right
pride.
people around him that are
Right.
How do you not have the right person around you by now, bro?
I know.
That is true.
There's no excuse.
But who do you trust at this point, though? Right? Who can he trust?
Well, we know who you can't trust. I mean, I don't get it, man. Maybe I'm just being naive. I very well can be. I'm nowhere at that level of echelons, obviously. I just kind of think my own common sense and logic, and I'm like, okay, some people.
It does make a point though. He does have because now that I think about it, no,
I agree.
no, because I was thinking this, and I was thinking this too. Like a couple months ago, I was like, bro, you need to be backing the people that are saying, hey, I'm with you. This swamp is dirty, bro. But if you're backing someone that kind of looks like, hey, I've been in the swamp, but I'm still here, it's like, why? And that's where I'm with you. It's like,
Well, you got to understand that the swamp it goes both ways though too. It's not just the Democratic Party. It's the Republican Party.
that's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
And both sides are corrupt, and both sides have their play and their narratives, and they both they're in it for themselves, and that's
but
politics.
you know what's
us
crazy?
as outsiders can identify the rhinos. How can he not identify them?
Right.
I don't get it, bro.
You
There's
know who
no
I would
excuse.
vote over him and to give him a shot because he has called out things that, like you said, who has? RFK Jr. He has said things like the FBI is corrupt, the CIA, the Vanguard, and there's some contradicting stuff. But this guy has been noting the problem where I'm like, Trump, why aren't you saying the same thing as them? You just keep saying the swamp, bro. But this guy specifically said, who is the problem. Like Vanguard and BlackRock. How the heck do you have a corporation buying up houses, bro?
Yeah, I just think, well,
I don't know.
I hear you, bro, but he's a total leftist when it comes to global warming.
I just like that part.
I just think he's smart enough to know what to say right now to get elected.
Okay.
I think once he gets in the office, he's gonna flip. You know, the guy that I'm really hopeful for is Vivek. Hopefully, but you know, the problem with Vivek is, I mean, he's already out, not even an option. But
For VP, is
yeah,
I don't know who.
I would like to see him.
What about DeSantis? Did you like
Oh
DeSantis?
no, bro, that guy's total rhino.
Really? Okay.
Did you not figure that out already?
Well, I mean, he did for Florida. He did good. I would say I'll give him his credit. But for president, like seeing that stuff. Well, was it true the whole that he got donated by Soros?
I mean, that's what they say, but you know, but
Well, to his, sorry to interrupt, but to his credit, he said he actually returned that. It was part of a sponsorship, back in college, and he received that, but he wasn't fully aware. He wasn't fully aware who the Soros Foundation was, and I mean that's like you said, it could be some.
None of us did.
Until now, that is true.
Up until
It does
2,
make
3,
sense.
4 years ago, whatever it is.
I'll give him his credit what he did for Florida, though.
Well, I think the cardinal sin is him going after Trump. I think that right there is a no brainer for me. If he had run first of all, him running against Trump is already that's already a bad deal.
All right.
That's a red flag, bro. Why would he run against Trump?
Knowing that it's Trump's time.
You wait your 4 years and you're good to go. So that right there already is high suspect, bro. That's a red flag right there. And then not just he runs against Trump, but then he's bashing him, right? So that's another red flag.
Well, that comes back to the conversation that Alex says. You don't know. I mean, think about it right now. You got Nikki Haley running for this, presidency, opposing that she's already lost three states.
And in her own state. Right?
Right. And she's continuing to bash on Trump. And then we find out after the research, right? Because we're learning from that video that we just looked, read, study, teach, defend, assert. And one of the things that I'm starting to see, I'm looking at all the stuff. She's getting donations from the top donors of the Democrat Party. Come on now.
That should tell you enough right there.
Yeah, right, I mean, I don't want people to think that we're like. I mean, for me, I'll speak for myself. I don't know about you, bro. But I'm not like, oh, you know, it's not about Trump. It's not about him. It's what he represents. You know, it's making America great again. And so for me, it's not that they're bashing him. It's the policies and the ideas that he's promoting and he's bringing the light. So the way I look at it is, you know, if you're Nikki Haley and you're DeSantis and you're going after it, like, bro, what are you criticizing them about?
Right.
You know, I think Vivek did it perfectly.
Yeah, he said it's time for us to get behind him. We see the winner. Why are we? Well,
even
that was good.
That, though,
yeah, when he was running though, he never bashed on Trump. You know, he just said, "Hey, look, you know, Trump did his thing. You know, he's taking the wounds. I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna take the torch." Bro. And I 100% buy that. That's why I do want that. I mean, I Trump. I guess I'm at the point now where he kind of deserves it, man. The guy's going through so much. It's like, man, you know. Well, you know, it'd be sad for him to. Hey, look, man. If you hate, even if you're a Trump hater, I don't see how you don't look to see what they're doing to this guy, his family, the persecution that's going on. I mean, use your common sense. Like what do you think it looks like?
Remember when you said before the studio, you said, "Oh, well, I voted for Bush." Bush has done worse things than him. Yeah. When have you ever seen them persecute?
Well, all of a sudden, people, you know, they hated Bush, right? And I don't know if you guys remember. Let's go back in time. Everybody hated Bush, right? And now everybody's a pro Bush. They're good with Bush bashing on Trump. It's like, man, you're seeing all the
crazy, bro.
You know. Go ahead, bro.
What I was gonna tell you guys is you guys are hitting. These are the conversations that us Latino or in general, people in general need to have and question. Bro. Listen, that's why when we took notes, we said, hey, we read, we study, right? Then we teach, we defend. We are defending exactly what we're asserting, right? We're understanding that, hey, there is a greater evil behind it. I like what Isaac said. He said sometimes you got to look past, you know, the situation. Right. But you know what motivates me now more, and the reason why I have this little, like I can't believe this is happening is because now I'm starting to see the two sides. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see how a president is activating, governmental agencies to go after an insurgent. This is stuff that we only see in Venezuela,
countries,
in the third world countries. And now we're starting to see this. And listen, for months, I've been discussing it with people. I just can't find the right people to have these conversations with until I find you guys. And then, but this is exactly what we see in third world country. And the third world country are looking at us like, look at these guys. What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
But yet again, like you guys mentioned earlier, as we were starting to have these conversations, why are these things happening?
Right.
Why? What is it? I still haven't figured out. I'm not sure about you guys. I'm asking, do you guys know why this is happening here? Because apparently some of us just became awoken or waking up over the last 2-3 years, right? I mean, I'm speaking for myself.
You want me to answer?
Would you please?
Whoever, yeah, go for it. Hey, man, you got it. Go, man. Go.
Chaos and control. Chaos and control.
Well, just for me observing, in my opinion, it's not like I have like the answer, but I just think logically, right? I think it's a combination of things, right? So you have, we want some people. It's a case of we don't want to deal with it, or we're just lazy, right? We're lazy. We just want to go to work, go to home, be with our family, like we don't want to be having to pay attention to these people that are in government and what they're doing. It'd be nice to just trust these guys,
Right.
and that's kind of the people, like you said, you're like, people, they don't understand how dangerous government is. They're the most dangerous thing in the history. They've killed and murdered more people in human history, right? But yeah, so the issue is, I think some people just lazy, we don't want to deal with it. Others of us, we just don't have the time. We're working all the time. We just don't have time. Other people, we're just...
We take the freedoms we have here for granted.
We take it for granted. We don't understand.
And we think
and we don't want to take the time.
Here.
Yeah. And we just don't think, this is the thing is we're discouraged from talking about two topics. What is the two topics that people tell you not to talk about?
Politics and religion.
Right. The two most important things that you should be talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Talk about freaking football and the NFL and freaking basketball and sorry, LeBron James. And if he's any better than Michael Jordan, which is not even a freaking conversation to have. Right.
Kobe.
That like Kobe didn't exist. Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, but everybody forgot about Kobe, but yeah, MJ's the GOAT. All right. Just so we know. But anyhow,
True.
Yes.
Kobe behind him.
But they're okay with you having these conversations that really have no impact and importance in your life. But the two conversations that you're somewhere and you're amongst your friends. And if, I want to talk about politics and religion, that's my favorite. So that's what we should be talking about.
And sorry to interrupt, but one of the things you just said is, of course, but one of the things you mentioned that I like is these are the two things that are actually already established from the foundation of this country, right?
Yep.
Religion and politics, right?
Yeah.
Based on the video that we just learned. So what went wrong, brothers?
Yeah.
Well, I think like how the video that we saw mentioned,
Yeah.
God. Think about it. When you don't have God, and I don't know if people believe in God or don't, but there's many like now, if you don't believe in God, I don't know what rock you're still living under. I mean, there's a lot of things that has like, okay, bro, this is just creepy and a lot of biblical prophecy. But I think that was the motion because the way they explained it in the video, from you guys seeing it, we did, is basically the way they basically made it seem is government had this plan to say, well, if we take out morality and all this stuff out of schools, then kids will never be wrong. It's okay to do what you want. It's and all this stuff. And I think that is bad because you at least have to, like we were saying earlier, you have to question things. You don't want to talk about politics and religion. Who's been telling us that? Government officials. No, I think you shouldn't talk because you might offend people. And no, why not talk about it? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say is that the founding fathers, they came, if we remember, they came from an oppressive government. So when they came here, they wanted to start something new. So they learned their lesson. They're living through the times. They'd lived through the times we're living through right now, right?
Right.
So, they lived through this period where we're getting, oppression. They saw their country they were coming from, where they were at, becoming more and more oppressive. So fortunately for them, they had somewhere to go. They came here. Right. And that's why they call it the Great Experiment. These guys came out here and they're like, hey, we're going to start something different here. And so we're going to create a system that allows us to be free, right, and have a very limited role for government, right? And so the problem is going back to, you know, being educated and understanding what the intention was here in the U.S. and why historically the United States has been, you know, the greatest country in history, and why, you know, our family came here to be prosperous. You know, there was a system, there was an environment, a system that allowed for an environment for them to be successful. And so what's the history? What was behind that? You know, and those are the things that we need to take time to learn and study, understand. You know, we don't have to be academics,
Right.
You know, we don't have to know the Constitution by heart, but understand, you know, what the Constitution is, what your Bill of Rights, and why we have those. We take them for granted now. I think people are starting to realize, especially after COVID, you know, why it's important, why we had those freedoms and those protections,
Liberties, right?
yeah, and those liberties. And unfortunately, now going back to, you know, how did we get here? Is because we haven't been paying attention.
Right.
We haven't been putting in that little effort to kind of get an understanding of the Constitution,
The foundation.
and the foundation, right?
Yeah.
And why we are where we are. And for some reason, as Latinos, the media and, you know, the I want to say the crazy liberals and Democrats, them racist people, have convinced us that, you know, we're Latinos. We don't need to know the Constitution.
Yeah.
You know,
Just go to college.
yeah, just go to
we'll teach
college
you everything
and
over there.
become slaves, and, you know, take away your freedom of,
It's true, bro.
you know. So think about it this way. Just one example, right? Think about school choice, right? So school choice, conservatives are for school choice. Democrats are against school choice, right? So think about as Latinos, right? Like you live in Southgate, right? Not picking on people, but let's just be real. You live in Pico Rivera, right? You know, you probably don't like your school there, right? But the Democrats force you. They don't give you the option to taking your kid out of that school and putting them at a better school at a different district.
They want
right?
you to stay there.
They want you to stay at that school that you don't like and it's not very good, right?
The environment around there compared to so they're basically purposely doing, because they know, what about if your kid wants to leave the environment or put him out there, right? Like, for example, right, we all probably grew up in the hood. You think you would want to put your kid in the hood knowing how bad the hood was for us? Or would you rather say, I want the choice to put him somewhere so he doesn't know how I grew up and how rough it was? And like you said, the Democrats have a plan. Why? Because if the school is bad and the school is dumb, like the statistics show that people can't even read at a certain grade level, then what do you think they're going to do when you get to college? Oh, well, you know what? White people were racist, all this stuff. The founding fathers were atheists and all. So they're already brainwashing you because your education is not high, or at least a certain amount good anymore.
Yeah, their policies want to keep us oppressed and dependent on them, right? So when you have conservatives say, hey, you know, we want to give you, you know, freedom of choice, school choice. Man, it's crazy that Latinos don't get behind that. There's a disconnect there, right? Why? Because they've convinced you, like, hey, that racist guy over there, don't even listen to him, right?
Don't go to that
freaking
county.
racist guy. He hates Latinos and he wants to, you know, all this stuff. But you're not even listening to the fact that the guy's like, hey, man, I want to pass a policy that allows you to take your kid out of that little ratchet school that you're going to, and they can go to that really good school over there. You know, so that your kid can have a better opportunity than you had, right? Even better than that, think about the system and environment here in California specifically, that it's so unaffordable now that, you know, you both have to work, right? So what happens then, right? So now as a Latino, right, like, you know, I got to work, my wife has to work, right? And so guess whose kids don't get to be homeschooled? You know, my kids don't get to be homeschooled, right? Because both of us got to work. Right. And so when you think about, you know, man, I'll give you guys an example. So my nephew, super proud of him. He's 25, 26 years old. He graduated, got his bar, you know, he's a lawyer now. And we were at USC. He graduated from USC and we went to his, so a couple cool things. His graduation, right? He's like only one of two Latinos in his graduating class, right? And I never look at that stuff, but it's kind of cool. I'm like, man, that's crazy. It's all, you know, white dudes and Asians, right? And then it's like, you know, his last name is Reina, and then there's probably some other girl, it must have been Gonzalez, right? Or Lopez, or whatever, right? So it's like, oh, cool. There's two Latinos in his whole class, right? At USC, right? Which, you know, that's cool. Super proud of him.
Right.
You know, we don't think in those terms, you know, I don't, but for some reason that day I did, because it was kind of obvious, right? But, you know, we don't bring up my kids or nephews to think in terms of, you know, you're Latino, somehow you're oppressed. They don't They
Yeah.
probably don't even consider that.
Yeah,
But
'cause
anyways,
the moment you take that as your truth, then it becomes your truth, and,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you take all the onus off yourself, and you blame others for your setbacks.
Yeah.
Sorry
No, go ahead.
to stop you, but it's very important to understand that is that they push systematic racism. They push the fact
That's annoying, bro. I hate
that we're oppressed and we're held back, but as soon as you take that and believe it as your truth,
It's a wrap.
it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Well, one of the good things is that Latinos, we don't fall for it like black people do. Sorry, black people, don't get pissed, but they fall for it. So far, most Latinos don't. We don't. I don't know. Am I wrong, bro?
Well, some
Do you notice?
college students.
I don't know a lot of.
There's a lot.
I'm talking generally. There's exceptions, but for the most part, I don't see a lot of Latinos walking around like they're oppressed or feel like I don't know.
Well, that's true.
you know,
Right.
yeah, like we're not looking for reparations, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Which we know we probably should get reparations. We're built farming and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Where's my reparations?
Yeah.
But I don't want it. But I want to go back to the point I was making was going back to homeschooling. Is my at the swear-in at my nephew's swearing for the bar, we go back to USC and there's a girl there. She's like 23 years old, right? And she's graduating. She's getting a lawyer at 23 years old, right? And I'm like, man, I tell my nephew's like, she's homeschooled, huh? He goes, yep, homeschooled. So if you guys notice kids that are homeschooled, they're far more advanced. If I were to go back, I would have done everything I could to homeschool my kids.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Democrat policies, we're in California, so you can't blame Republicans for this, have created the environment that we're in now where, especially us Latinos, right? Both of us have got to work and our kids aren't getting homeschooled like the upper class people. You can put a color, whatever you want, but they can homeschool their kids, right? They're getting a better, talk about freaking privilege, right? It's
I'm sorry to cut you off, brother, but right now that you're mentioning all this stuff, and you guys can say, no, I don't agree with you. But let me tell you something. After this whole ordeal, right? It's been 3 years, right, since COVID, BLM riots, right? An oppressive 3 years of oppression. I'm just talking about for myself, right? It's been
What's
like
BLM?
Well,
is that still a thing?
Well,
I haven't heard it in 3 years.
either, bro.
Well, you haven't
we'll start hearing about it
Well,
again.
listen, that
this
was
year.
the vehicle. That was the
For reals,
vehicle,
bro.
right?
Yeah.
That was the vehicle that was used, right, to actually use it as a point of attack, right? To forcefully bring all these corporations to their knees, right? To, where we can implement the DIE. You know what I mean? Like these policies that are getting implemented into corporations because. Yes, America is racist, right? And we all have to know about my whiteness. Then we have generals saying, I need to know about my white privilege, right? Imagine. So think, for the last 3 years, we've been submitted into telling us that we're oppressed. And then they're trying to submit us into changing a system that actually, that they themselves do not want to change. Because the reality is that they're implementing these policies, right, that hinder us, hurt us, right? Talking the story about, Isaac's, nephew, like USC, privilege. And I'm not saying your nephew is privileged. I'm just saying like the majority of it. But these are the systems that are implemented or placed in there to actually hinder us, right? And so right now that you were talking about it, man, I'm just getting all these things like, golly, like, what you just said and earlier, to bring back my question, why is the purpose of them doing this? And now that I capture is, you mentioned it, policies, power.
yeah.
Dumb down the future. It's like right now what he said, right? The quote from the Constitution video we just saw.
Yes.
For future generations.
Yes.
'Cause think about it. Back then, generations were thinking like this, thinking this nonsense. Yeah, there was some crazy stuff. But like they were saying right there, if you start taking in the video, and we'll play it, Alfred's going to upload it. If you start destroying by ahead of time the future generations, then what's the point, bro?
Yeah.
Think about it. That's why they're starting small, right? In schools, they're trying to push, oh, you know what? You're brown or you're black, so you're oppressed as a kid.
Yeah.
Imagine when you get grown up or get to high school. Well, yeah, they said that I'm black or brown, so I won't make it in America.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to say I don't think these guys, we were talking about this earlier, I have no evidence And I honestly don't believe that, the Democrats sit around saying, hey, how are we going to get these Latinos guys? How can we keep these guys oppressed? And no, I don't think that's what they're doing. I think that they just want power, and the policies just affect us more than most, especially here in California, because, we're majority here. And the reality is, because most of us are either first or second generation, it's just logical that it's going to take more time for us to build generational wealth, right? It's not like we've been here for, I'm sure, there's some Latinos that have been here since the founding of freaking California, I guess, back then, and those guys probably have some wealth. But when people look at, for example, when they talk about white privilege, like, what are you talking about, man? Obviously, their families have been here longer than our families have.
Well,
right?
not only that. Okay, not only that. With the white privilege argument, right? Let's concede. When we're growing up in the hood, did you ever see a white boy working in the barbershops of the Latino community? Did you ever see them working in the Latino warehouses? No.
Well, no.
Why? Because every time it was hiring our own people, right? So that's where it's kind of hard when they say white privileges. Is if that is true, right? If I would have to concede that there was white privilege, black neighborhoods, they always have black barbers.
If there was white privilege, there wouldn't be any trailer parks.
Yeah. Well, no, look, I would just say, no, it's true.
Chill, bro.
No, but right. If there's white, you got.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
You got trailer parks, and you got what are they called, right? I'm not going to say it.
Trailer trash. It's
exactly
okay.
right.
Yeah. It's okay to be racist to white people now. Yeah. So you can call whatever you want.
Careful, bro.
But there you go, right? Where's the privilege for them?
No, but the only privilege they have is really just they just got their generation, and they've been here longer than we have, right? So really, for us as Latinos, instead of focusing on that nonsense, we should be coming here. Some of our families, everybody has a different story, how they got here, but we should be focusing on following that model. We should have that same mindset of coming here, right, and building generational wealth.
Facts.
Right. Instead, what we're doing over here is and I say this, I don't know. I guess I don't hang around with a lot of Latinos that are like whiners and
Well, me neither. I just hear.
So if you guys are out there, you could come sit in one of these tables. That'd be kind of fun to have one of them come in here.
He'll probably leave and be like, "These guys are crazy.
Yeah.
They just don't understand because my professor taught me this." And it's like, "Oh, okay, bro."
No, but I think that's what we need. That's what we need to be focused on. And unfortunately for us, I guess speaking for my family, my dad never sat me down and say, "Hey, son, look, this is what you should do. Investing, real estate. This is how you build wealth, son." Like those, that stuff I had to learn on my own while we're here, right? So for me, the best I can do now is set that up for my kids, for my family, so that hey, that our generation, maybe my grandkids, they'll have, that that American privilege.
Right. Well, I think like what I wanted to, because I talk about this with my girlnight when
American
we're gonna get.
Nice.
You like that,
know, right?
Yeah, I like that. You just made that up right now, didn't you?
That was good.
Yeah. Can you get a shirt?
Because that's a privilege.
American privilege.
Because
right,
American
baby.
privilege.
Yeah,
but I
that
think
is a privilege.
I think what's crazy, and I talk about this with my girlfriend, right? Love you, girl. But we talk about this, right? She knows she hears this, but what we talk about is when we get married and have kids, is what I want to teach my kids, like you said, right? Okay, bro, you want to go to college? Fine. Go for a career, though, that is a necessity, hopefully in those years, if we're still alive and there's no World War III or whatever. If not, go for a trade school. How many of you guys know guys that went to do plumbing, electrician, and how much do they start them off with, bro? Truckers.
Yeah.
The least they get is $80,000. Rather in school, how much is the first semester you go to? I made a video on this chick who went to an NYC, I think it was NYC. That's what it's NYC University or something like that. And I looked up how much is the tuition just for one semester. She dropped $80K, bro. But yet you go to trucker school for a month, I think max, or like if you want to go super for 6 months, you go get your license and all that. I think the least they start you off with is, I'm not even a brainiac on this, but like what, less than 80K or so. But you're making money, and the more money. Think about that, and that's just a truck driver, bro.
Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier. So the problem there then is here in California, we go back to the policies that are hurting us, more than most, right? So here in California, we were talking about this before. We're actually in trucking, so we're very familiar with regulation and how bad it is. But yeah, you just drive around the freeway and look in the truck. Who's driving? It's usually a Latino guy, right? Starting to see more Arab guys and that sort of thing. But guys come here, you don't even have to speak English, and you can come and, you know, you can save your money, get yourself a little truck. You know, back in the day, you could go run a truck to the port and make some money that way. Well, now with the regulation, with all this green nonsense, these guys are getting pushed off every time they got to buy a new truck because it's not in compliance. One of the most recent regulations with its CARB compliance, where now trucking companies are going to be forced to have to smog check their vehicles 4 times a year. Right, so either you got to buy the equipment to do it, or you got to pay for that every single time. Yeah. That's on top of all your fuel. Right? Think about how much fuel it is. Oil, so it's very tires. Difficult now. So who is that really hurting, bro? Right? We were talking about real estate here in California, right? So, you know, real estate, how many Latino real estate agents do you see? A lot, right? A lot. So that's where, you know, probably the highest paid Latinos are probably in real estate, right? But now you're taking that opportunity away because look at the real estate market, right? And why is it the way it is? It's because of Democrats. You can't blame Republicans for it, right?
Not here in
California, bro.
I wanted to ask you guys, why do you think they're blaming Republicans now? If the only ones
because
in control
they're racist
Democrats.
And they hate Latinos and they want
they're white supremacists.
They're white supremacists, and they want to have a wall. Right?
That's crazy, bro. Every time I hear that, it makes me laugh when they call them a white supremacist. I'm like, bro.
But I go back to what I was saying earlier.
I was called a white supremacist. All right.
Are you serious? Yeah. Look how brown you are, bro. We're like super brown.
But,
I wonder how,
but that's what they do. That's their playbook, right? It's to generalize, right? To generalize everybody into a certain. See, if you recall, when it was just Trump was a racist. Right? In his 4 years, it was just about Trump. It wasn't about the Republican Party.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Right? It became the entire Republican Party after this last election. Now it's every Republican's a racist.
Yeah.
The MAGAs.
And now it's not even a Republic. It's a MAGA Republican. Yeah. So they use generalizations to get everybody to fit into this mold. And then what they do with the mold is they make you look like a certain thing so that you're no longer voting with your mind. You're voting with your emotion. Right.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, you want to hear something funny, bro? Every time I either join a live or something like that to trigger the left, if they say, "Are you a MAGA racist?" I say, "Yes, I am."
Ultra MAGA.
But they say you're racist. I'm like, okay, yes, I am a racist. And they're like, wow.
They use these generalizations
right,
because, like we were talking earlier, Isaac, you can't fight a generalization, right? If you use a generalization, you can't argue either way. And then they use words like justice, right? Social justice. How do you argue against social justice, right? Everybody wants social justice.
I don't.
But what does that even mean?
Terrible, bro.
How do you even write a policy for social justice, right? We can't even explain what any of this stuff means.
How do you feel?
Use these terms.
Now that he said, Alex, how do you feel whenever you hear someone saying they're a social justice activist?
I just feel so sad because they're so ignorant. No, and I said that respect because it's just the truth. I'm not even trying to, it's just the truth. People just hear justice. But again, we go back to thinking and thinking like be a critical thinker, man. Right. What does social justice mean?
Yes.
Right? Do you really want that? Because you're talking about social, not justice as in, see, people start thinking, oh, well, justice as in, hey, you raped my daughter and that type of justice. That's not social justice. Right? Social justice is like, I'm not for, the
police,
transgenders.
Yeah, social justice is I need to care about what you feel.
Right. And if I don't, there should be justice imposed on me.
Right, bro. Like if you don't care about my feelings, you're going to jail. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look at Canada, right? Like if you're a parent now, if your kid wants to transition,
I heard about that.
That's social. How you like that, right? So now if their kid wants to say they're a boy and hey, I'm a girl, if you're a dad and you don't acknowledge that or a mother, you're going to jail. That's your social justice.
Wasn't Canada the one that said if you didn't acknowledge people's pronouns, you go to jail, right?
Right. So if I call you the wrong pronoun, that's social justice. No, I don't want that justice.
That's crazy, bro.
And that's what people don't understand is they miss the social, but all they're hearing is justice.
Let me ask both of y'all, Alex right here and Isaac. I'm the younger. I'm 95. You guys are the older. How do
You're 95, bro?
We were already at high school, bro.
All right. Listen.
I'm 75, brother.
Out of seeing you guys being the old timers, right? Did you ever think, respectfully, no, I rather say old timers than old guys. Old timers sounds like a big G.
Yeah, sounds cool.
So what I would say, right?
You convinced me.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's true. So as old timers, big dogs, right? Did you ever think that you would have a generation like this?
Nah, man.
Like
No.
when you hear something like he disrespected me, and you just look and you're like,
Yeah, crazy.
how do you guys? Because it's funny because that's why I like asking old timers because I'm like, bro, did you ever expect this would happen?
This is what's interesting, though. Every generation, our parents, their parents, they always felt like the sky was falling, right? Something. This new generation is it's gonna cause chaos. Everybody had that, but I honestly feel, just that this new generation.
This time it's for real.
This time it's for real. Exactly,
bro.
You know what I mean?
And we really do have the best music back in our time.
Right.
But this time it's for reals too.
This time,
Bro,
it's
you're
for real.
even like, bro, if the music's trash, yeah, it is. This is
but,
gonna
guys
but,
don't-
but
I
of
mean,
course,
do
our
you-
parents thought that
Does
they
your
had the best
generation
music.
even listen to your own rap music?
No, bro.
No,
I
they don't, bro.
nothing,
Bunch
bro.
of
demonic
noise.
demonic noise.
Yeah.
No.
And then we got.
But
the
that's
music
what I'm
industry.
saying. Like, did you guys ever expect this the way the United States is now? That you're like, wait, you identify as what you said? Or stuff like that. Did you ever think that
No.
ever seeing in the
No.
future it would get this way?
Not at all. But I mean, obviously, this is something that's been planned out. There's this. What's happening today started 15 years ago. Started 20 years ago. Okay, this is barely starting to. The kids that were starting school and get 15, 20. We're dealing with the generation now that was programmed and brainwashed 10 to 15 years ago, purposely. So we're bearing the fruits of that right now. This didn't just start, right?
Well, yeah, so it's crazy, bro, because I talk to my nephews about this stuff. Like, I honestly feel bad. I tell my kids the same thing. Is, man, I realize that you guys have not grown up in a normal world, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, even in our time, right? In the 50s, you look at those ads. They were far more conservative. It was more of a wholesome environment. I'd like to get back to that.
Family,
oriented,
Nuclear
right.
family deal. Get yourself some
Nuclear
kids,
family. The
wife.
mom was at home,
Cooking for
taking care of the kids,
Right.
Nurturing the family. Unfortunately, women have been convinced that being a woman, and the natural role of a woman holds no value, right? Like I heard one time when I go into a different tire, so stick with me on this one. So, women have been convinced that being at home, raising a family and their children
It's weak.
right, there's no value in that. Having babies, actually creating humans is not valuable, right?
like
bro,
you created a
create
life.
humans,
Right.
and they've been demeaned and led to believe that role has no importance. Like, man, think about it. As men, yeah, I mean, our natural our role is to provide for the family, right? Protect and provide. But the reality is, I mean, the women are the ones, raising the next generation. Their role so much. It's crazy. Really think about that, right? So women have been demeaned. They've been demoralized to be a woman, which is freaking, what would you call it? Not racist, but it's sexist, misogynist, right? For me to say like, hey, I believe women should be at home, and I would encourage them. If they want to be lawyers, that's great too. But I would encourage them to, like, hey, aspire to be a great mother and a great wife. Mm-hmm. That's valuable. But going back to what you were saying is yeah, man, I tell my nephews, like, man, it's crazy because, you guys aren't growing up like in the normal world. I go back when we were in high school, and again, I'm not gay bashing here, okay? It's not, gay bashing, but we were in high school, man. If you were gay, bro, you'd get made fun of, or you'd get beat up in high school, right?
Yeah, and there was maybe one.
Maybe one, and that we knew of.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't show that personality, like the
Right.
lisp and moving around like a woman. Kind of a little bit, because you could tell, but he wasn't like pushing, like, oh, you have to respect me because I'm gay. No, he just knew you were gay.
No,
and
he'd
if
get
you would
punched.
make fun of him, and he'd be like, whatever, like, or something like that. But now it's like you were saying,
now
and
it's like 40%.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember the one gay guy that I knew of. Shout out Milo.
Yeah.
From high school, if you're still out there and alive. If you're even listening to this.
Hopefully you didn't turn to the super
but you know,
left side.
but he was cool. You know, nobody really bothered him. Everybody knew he was gay.
Right.
But you know, but he wasn't out like it is now. And again, man, you know, I'm Christian. I'm a believer. I believe in a man and a woman. But with that said, you know, I'm not advocating for, you know, violence or anything like that.
No, of course not.
You know that takes us to another thing. You know, the narratives. You know, the left does a great job of capturing narratives, right? You know, as Latinos, right? We're not with that either, man. We're conservative. We're not.
Have you went to your home country at all, Isaac?
Yeah, go all the time.
Alex, have you went to
Well,
your
my home country is the United
Latino?
States of America.
This is what I always.
I'm here all the time, bro.
No, but I went to my home. Well, my home country obviously is America, but where my mom's from, and I'm bloodline Guatemala. Bro, gay people are made fun of over there. As a matter of fact, if you act feminine as a normal guy, they make fun of you. They cuss you out in Spanish as being, you know, just a gay person. And they tell everybody, like, hey, this guy's acting like a gay guy. And this is where I don't understand. Like you said, how can Latinos side with this, knowing that their aunts and uncles still have that mentality as we want to keep our people not insane but sane?
Yeah, well, because, you know, they think it's like, hey, you know, we're enlightened, we're evolving to understanding things better. But no, and again, I'm not saying that's the right way to, you know, make fun of or whatever. I would say lovingly just encourage and let people know that, you know, that's not really the true you, right? If anything, you know, people talk about, hey, be yourself, right? Be yourself. Well, you know, if you're a man and you're acting like a woman, is that really being who you really are? That don't make any sense.
Pretending, bro.
You're pretending to be. Now, there is guys that have more feminine traits, right? I mean, there's guys that are more, what would you call it, intrinsic? Or there's a word for that, right? Guys that are like, you know, they dress nice. What's the word for that, bro?
It's feminine. No.
Well, they used
nice
to be called
guys?
metrosexual.
Yeah, metrosexual.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait, so that they do what?
That means that they were men, but they were like, they had feminine. You know,
Yeah, they
got their nails done.
Yeah,
and,
you know, hair real nice.
I would probably be considered that. You know,
In Spanish?
That's why I was looking at you,
yeah,
bro.
that's why you're looking at me pretty intently.
No,
because my nails are nice and.
Well, I guess you could say
I
know,
like
metrosexual.
I do some things.
It's not that bad. It's squeaky clean. I guess they just want to look, you know, like not dirty nails like me and something like that. You know, it's nothing bad. But it's funny because there's another word in Spanish that my uncle uses called afeminado. That means like you're feminine. Like, yeah, you're straight, but you kind of have those feminine tendencies.
Yeah, you're just not rugged.
Yeah.
You know?
So the circling back, and the reason we started to talk about back in our high school days, what's important to understand is that, and to start to question, why has it changed so much, right? Why have kids started to see and believe certain things to be okay and not okay, and who put that? And why were they putting this, right? Are they really trying to break up the nuclear family, right? Are they really trying to, you know, slow down the production of society or of kids, right?
Yeah.
Population control, I guess you could say. Like what is their purpose for really wanting to install these beliefs into the subconscious of children at an early age? And now you can look back, and I've started to really do that, is look back at movies that were in the 90s. Yeah. And then you start to see things that you weren't paying attention to back then. Now you start to see the little installs into the subconscious. How at first it was kind of weird to see two men kissing in movies in the 90s. It would rarely happen.
I never saw that.
Yeah,
I don't know what you were watching, bro.
No,
back then,
I mean you would see things happen like that.
No.
But now it's everywhere. Now you can't watch a show without something happening.
Like gays, you know,
without there being sex. You're gonna see a show immediately. First 10 minutes, you're having sexual intercourse going on in
bro,
the show.
even the kids' cartoons, bro. Like what?
Right.
Dude, what?
And then now you're having same sex. You know, all the time. Netflix is the biggest propaganda machine that there is out there.
That's crazy.
And that's. But this was happening in the 90s, though, is what I'm trying to say. It's like there's movies that were coming out that was really starting
testing
to
the waters,
slowly install these beliefs into children to say, okay, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. Right. And then all of a sudden you have video games that are really going out there and programming the subconscious of kids' minds of like shooting and killing in the video game, it's the brain doesn't know the difference between a video game and actual reality. So then we start to get desensitized to a lot of things that we were very sensitive to back when we were growing up. An accident, you don't want to see, you don't want to see that gory stuff. Now it's opposite. People they want to see what's going on, right? It's there's a process to all this, and it's been happening for a very long time.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, because what I was going to say is I think our generation is to blame. It goes back to, like Alex is saying, you go back to the movies we were watching, the music we were listening to, listen to the lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Right. Look at MTV music videos from back in those days with the chicks, with their little booties hanging out and all this stuff. Right. I mean, it's worse now. I believe I don't watch that stuff, but I probably worse. But really, it started with us being conditioned to be more liberally minded.
Yeah, right.
And I'll
experiment it's
Well, no, I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, I became a dad at 18 years old, right? And so, and I met my wife when I was 15, 16 years old. We're still married now.
Wow.
Awesome, so been through like a long journey, right? But I look back and I say, hey, my 18-year-old dad, the father my oldest daughter had, was way more liberally minded. First of all, I wasn't even going to church, so God wasn't a part of my life. I was always aware, but he wasn't my Lord at the time. So my kid, she wasn't being brought up in the way God intended it. Mm-hmm. So I was very passive with her, with my kids. So although my kids are great, my kids turned out by the grace of God, despite having me as their father, they're doing really well. They're doing really well.
Don't put yourself down like that, man.
No, I'm very proud of it, but I look around and I say, yeah, I mean, if you see the videos and the stuff we were watching, like Alex said, it's like we were already being conditioned to accept certain things.
Yeah.
You can also look back and man, hopefully people do this. I was introducing my son to like some 90s music. I don't listen to a lot of secular, but I still appreciate some of it. Mm-hmm. So my son, I got him an electric guitar. And so he's been learning to play he likes the Beatles and all that. Yeah. And I was like, hey man, have you ever heard of Rage Against the Machine? Right. And he's like, so he listened to Rage. So he remembered him from Guitar Hero because he was real little. He's 18 now. So when Guitar Hero was like a little toddler. And like, we were watching so we started binge watching Rage Against the Machine videos. And there's a video of them. You guys go back and watch it. I wish I remember which song, but go back and watch it, where it's a very film where they're in front of Wall Street. So they filmed it in Wall Street and they get arrested in real life, okay? And they got a bunch of people. So this was all recorded, real people out there protesting, right, in front of the Wall Street building where they do the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. And there's people protesting, and remember they were all anti-government, right? Mm-hmm. And they hate Trump now, but they had a sign. Go back and see it, and it says Trump for president, and it was like 2000 something, or was it 2004 or whatever that, right? And it said Trump for president. I thought that was so crazy.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Go back and see it. You'll see that one of the signs says Trump for president, and I forgot what year it was. And so it's crazy because, like you were saying earlier,
he wasn't racist at that time.
Yeah,
right?
Bro. The problem Trump was culture back in those times. Yeah. You wouldn't have guys like Jay-Z. The term mogul, right? That's all Trump. Am I wrong? Right, that's all Trump. All these guys, all these rappers, they
would rap about him. They
would rap about him. Yeah. He was on their videos.
Yeah.
They looked up to him.
Now all of a sudden,
they got programmed to believe something.
Like,
They were inspired by him. The guys like Ice Cube. That's why like the old school rappers like Ice Cube, you don't see him bashing them very much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at even the boxer. What's his name? Mike Tyson.
Tyson. Yeah, Tyson loves him.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to love Rage Against the Machine, man. They were until they became the Machine.
Yeah.
Now they're full leftists, right?
That's crazy,
makes no sense.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But Alfred, you got anything else to say, man?
No, man. Actually, you know what, guys? This is one of the conversations we want to have. I know. We said we were only going to meet for about 30 minutes, and look, it's already an hour and 30.
I told you, bro.
So I told you that. No. But that's good,
it was good, bro, man.
But it's something that we, one of the things we discuss here, and we want to start discussing in these open open conversations, right? We
Right.
open, the round table, right? Because it is a round table, right? And I think we want to bring this round table environment to the Latinos. You know what I mean? Bring it in there, bring it into the social media platform, invite them to understand a little bit of why, and we're going to be talking about these. Today, we talked a little bit about the principles, how important it is to be Latinos. Remember what our parents showed us, things that we're learning, and some of us that are not political, right? Some of you that weren't involved, like I was telling Isaac off air, I said, I wasn't political at all, man. I just wanted to go to church and that's it. But when they touched something that was dear to me, that's when it became a problem, as far as education. I trusted the education system. And then now that I'm learning about this, how it was so important for these elites to take on the education system, it opened up my understanding. Now I homeschool. Now I'm doing homeschooling. So some of the things that we're going to be talking here are things that are going to help us grow and develop. And I think as a group, as a team, we all bring our perspective. And that's what we're going to do here in the open table conversations. Before we go, you guys, I know some of you got to go because, the wife is already texting and come on, where are you at? So
why is my bed empty?
Yeah, right. Why? Hey, how come you didn't cut the grass today? Golly, the honey-do list. You guys know what it is, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So before we leave, man, do you guys want to give some word of encouragement to invite people to come in and join us on the open talk conversations or roundtable conversation?
Isaac, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
for it.
First.
No, I was just gonna say that I want to make, I just want to be open, and I don't want any people to think that we're I'm not even gonna say we're not good. I'm not biased. I'll be upfront. I'm biased, and the reason I'm biased is, and
too,
honestly, is because
It's true, bro. I mean, you got.
no, yeah, I'm not gonna like people. Oh, no. I'm biased, but with that said, I'm not trying to. I guess my intention is really to just. People, listen to what I'm saying, question, take it for what it is. I just like to encourage people to be logical, question, like we said, have a healthy distrust of government, a healthy distrust of the policies and the propositions that you're voting for. I think it's important because it affects your life. Who wins the Super Bowl? It doesn't affect your life, man. It doesn't affect your and there's guys out there that know more about football and every player and who was traded where and all this stuff. If you put that kind of energy and effort into politics, we wouldn't be in this position.
That's true.
So I just want people to encourage you, and I'm not saying you're going to end up agreeing with me. I don't know. Do what you're going to do, but I just ask that you listen. You have an open mind about it, and if you guys leave comments or maybe we'll get somebody who disagrees with us in here. That's always a good time. That's all good too. I can be convinced. I doubt it, and I'm not saying to be arrogant, but I think I put a lot of thought into the positions I take. So like earlier when I said I got to think about that alcohol thing, right? You got to really think about it,
Right.
Are you really pro-life? What does that really mean? Have you thought about what is life and when does life begin? I mean, what does that mean to you? Have you really even thought it through? So, I mean, I could go on, but just, let's at least take the time to really understand what your values are. What do you believe in? What do you treasure? What is the role of government, right? What do you want the role of government to be, and how much of a role do you want, and how much power do you want to give these politicians?
That's good.
So that's what I'm hoping we can accomplish.
That's awesome. Excellent, Isaac. How about you, Alex, bro?
Oh, what do you think?
Wake up, brother.
Well,
Just got to get home.
I know.
no. I'll piggyback off of what Isaac's saying. It's first and foremost, the most important thing is to get your values and your beliefs down.
Amen. That's it, bro.
Okay, to get your house in order, right? Get your house, get your family in order. But once you have your values and beliefs, it's not about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, right? It has nothing to do with that. You vote by first and foremost having your values, right? And then actually starting to pay attention to what these people, what their values and what their beliefs are, right? And if they don't align, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat, then you have to kind of start weighing your options, because obviously you have to vote for somebody, because a vote for nobody is a vote for the opposition, right? So you have to once you get your values, your beliefs in order, you start to pay attention. Because if you associate, and this is the problem, if you associate as a Republican or if you associate as a Democrat, you're going to start putting up barriers and not really pay attention to what people are saying, right? Because I could tell you, we lost. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I could tell you this right now. There's probably, if you associate as a Republican, there's Democrats that you're never going to listen to, no matter what they say.
Right.
But sometimes what they say is there may be a truth nugget there. There may be some gold that you can learn, because you can learn from the shepherd, you can learn from the king, right? But it first takes you to disassociate from that position and start to listen to both parties. And then when it's time to vote, I could pretty much assure you, once you do that, you're going to be in the voting Republican more times than not, right? But don't vote Republican, don't vote Democrat, vote based on your values, based on your beliefs, but really know the policy that you're voting for too. It's very important, especially with all these laws that they're trying to pass, and they're gonna spin a narrative. They're gonna give you a narrative. Republicans have their narrative. Democrats have their narrative. Don't wait till it hits home to start to really pay attention. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. How about you, youngster?
I would have a lot to say, but I think like we uncovered in the video, right? And this is why I brought it to you guys, because I'm sick and tired of our government. Our school system has told us that we cannot learn about the founding of this nation because we have to go to some school or be a constitutional lawyer. But yet, with the facts and the video of you guys watched, our founding fathers didn't even go to college, most of them, or half. And I think that's what I want our Latino community and all Americans, is to realize that this government has been putting a blindfold on us. And finally, thank God, a lot of people are taking it off and saying, wait, hold on, this is not normal. This is not what you've been saying. So I think the biggest message is, for me, is grab a constitution, read it, learn about your rights. Like Isaac said earlier, learn about the government, what the role of government really is. And once you know how the foundation of America and what it's supposed to be, then you'll realize that you have more power than what you think the government is telling you have. But yeah, that's just my final message to all my community, to start reading the Constitution, and it'll open your mind up even more now to seeing how our government is supposed to be really operating. But yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen. Well, if you guys don't want to give out your Instagram, it's okay. We're going to go ahead and post it up there. I'll get it from you offline, and we'll put it over there if you want to post it. Also, man, just remember, we're going to have these discussions here. I'm hoping once or twice, once a month, we'll talk offline and see if we can get these discussions out. Get them out there to the people, because, you'll be amazed. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to identify with, what each and one of you is saying. And it's important to have different points of views. And listen, at the end of this whole thing, I like what everybody said. We need to find for ourselves, assert. And I think that's a key word. When you assert, you think for yourself, right? You don't just grab information or grab what anybody's saying. Just investigate, look it up for yourself. Let's look at the facts. And I think once you start realizing what the facts are, you make your own conclusions, but at least you're not being guided by what anybody tells you. And I think that's why it's so important for us to have these discussions. I just had 3 gentlemen with 3 different point of views, but they're all gravitating to the same thing. And that's what's important. So thank you, fellows, for joining me today. We had a good time, and now we're going to refresh, because, we're going to get ready for the next one. All right. Take care, you guys. Thank you so much for your time. All right. Take care. Have a good night.